This is for Gasland. Gasland too.
Groups that combine to do this. It is amazing to be back in Binghamton. It is amazing to be back in Binghamton. This is one of the first places we screened Gasland, the first, in this room. And I remember the incredible reception that we got the last time out, and how, at that point, it was all brand new. It was all something that we hadn't heard a lot about. There was a dialogue that was going on in New York State that was, in ways, incredibly beautiful and naive and wondering what was happening. And I was able to give you the experience of people like John Fenton and Lewis Meeks in Wyoming, the folks in Dimmock. Do we have some Pennsylvania in the house tonight? I think we do. And now, 3 years later, I just feel like I'm among friends and family. I feel like this is a community that's come together in an extraordinary way to learn about fracking and to understand the threat that it means to New York State. And I'm just overjoyed to be back in New York. This is our first grassroots screening in New York. We kicked this tour off in a place called Normal, Illinois, at the Normal Theater. The state of Illinois, in very much the same place as New York, with a fracking industry that's trying to come in and take over a huge section of the state, and working there with citizens who were fighting to keep the frackers out. And then we went to Colorado, Boulder, Colorado Springs, and Telluride, and worked with nonprofits there to screen the film. And then all the way up the coast of California, from Los Angeles to Santa Barbara to Monterey, to Oakland, Santa Cruz. This is a movement of people that exists coast to coast. And that there are great connections that are being made between people around America at a time when we're fragmented by Facebook and the internet. There's something happening that's actually people to people, person to person. And I'm getting a chance to witness that. And it's the most amazing thing I could be doing with my time. It's the most amazing thing I could be doing with my life. And I'm so happy to share this film with you tonight. We're gonna have a terrific discussion afterwards. There are some amazing folks who you may know who are gonna help with that discussion. And this is what I can do to continue reporting on this for you. I hope you enjoy it. I'm overjoyed to start this New York part of the grassroots tour. It's the grassroots organizations that mean the most to me. And HBO said, yes, give the film to them first before it goes to 40 million homes on HBO on July 8th. So I'm so happy to be here. I hope you enjoy the film. I'm just overwhelmed by how many people are here. Thank you so much. See you after the movie. Okay. Enjoy.
Emergency exits. 1, 2, 3, 4, right behind you. Be orderly in case of an emergency. Stay calm. We'll be okay. You're also two right there. You'll be able to get out very easily. So that's it, without screaming. Thank you.
so loud I couldn't hear the music. I hope I played it all right. You know what I feel like doing? I feel like taking a picture of this whole audience and sending it out on Twitter to Barack Obama and to Governor Cuomo. So if I can trouble you to stand up just one more time, I'm going to introduce to you Lee Zishy, our grassroots coordinator for Gasland, who's fantastic, and we're going to take this picture and send it out on Twitter to Barack Obama and Governor Cuomo right now. Okay, so here are the instructions. Put your hand in the air, put a fist up, put a peace sign, whatever you want. No lewd gestures, please. Okay? And let's get this done. Thank you.
One well. 2, 3. I'm going to take this half and then this half so we can get everybody in here because it's a big crowd. So, all right, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Okay, so here's some instructions from Lee.
So we're going to tweet this out. Our Twitter handle is Gasland Movie. We need everybody who has a Twitter account to retweet that. We're also using the hashtag #NotForGasland. We'll be running this campaign across the country called Not For Gasland. Josh and I have been traveling across the country, and we're meeting a lot of really great people.
Speak right into the microphone.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me now? All right. So our handle is Gasland Movie. So make sure you retweet this. And then we're also going to be using the hashtag #NotFromGasland. So when you go home, also post pictures on Facebook and on Twitter of what you want to protect, what you want to become Not From Gasland. So thanks, guys. So that handle again is Gasland Movie, and the hashtag is Not From Gasland. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Oh, we have German television in the house. We've been having a few sound issues. Does that sound okay to you?
I can talk like this if it's better.
No, it's not better. Okay, sure. So we have some incredible people in the house tonight that I want to introduce. In the house tonight, and I bet you if you screamed a lot, you might actually... Tony, are you still here? Oh, he left. He knew I was going to try to drag him up on stage. Okay then. Tony Graffia, seen the film before. Can we just have a round of applause for the fact that Tony Graffia was here tonight? We have some families also from Dimmick and from Franklin Fork who have been struggling week after week, month after month, year after year with contaminated water, fighting the largest multinational companies in the world. And I'm very just grateful to them for opening up. Ray Kemble, will you stand up with your water? Ray Kemble from Dimmick. Greg Stevens right next to him. It's fantastic. Now, I tell you a story, Craig. I tell you a story all over the country about how you have an anti-fracking sign side of your porch, and the other side of the porch says, "Don't tread on me." It just goes to show this is not a partisan issue. This is about people. Chemicals don't discriminate between Republicans and Democrats, between liberals and conservatives, between blue people and red people. This is a very broad, strong movement. Also, the Manning family from Franklin's Fork. If you saw my short film with Yoko Ono, they're amazing. Why don't you guys come up on the stage? Come up on the stage. All of you. I'm always very proud to have these folks here. And of course, Isaac from Citizen Action. And we have Frack Action in the house as well, is that right? Greta from Frack Action, she might be outside. There she is, signing people up. Thank you, Greta. Now listen, I would be remiss if I didn't do two things. One is let you know that there is a rally on June 17th at noon in Albany. a lot of you have gotten these flyers. I think they're really beautiful. If you look at the graphics, it's got fracking on one side and renewable energy on the other. And it's the Crossroads Rally in March. Stop fracking and say yes to renewable energy. We're not safe in New York. We're not even safe in the Delaware River or in the watershed. This is a moment when you as New Yorkers have to continue to insist to be protected from these multinational oil and gas companies who would come in, toxify your atmosphere, toxify your water, toxify your landscape, take the profits and move on. And this is a moment when hopefully it's not just about showing up to a film, but about showing up to things like this. Films can raise awareness, but they don't. Films can raise awareness, but they don't change the world. Films can raise people's education level, but they don't change policy. What changes policy is when you have a group like this in Albany. So if you have a chance, please do get down or up and over to Albany on the 17th. We're in okay shape. This is by no means a done deal. So Betty, if you want to have sign-ups?
We're going to pass around these billboards and get on the bus to come to Albany June 17th. We'd love to have you. If you don't have the $20 ticket, that's okay. We can, give out scholarships. The important thing is just to get on the bus, tell your family and friends, and please join us June 17th so Governor Cuomo knows that all New Yorkers oppose fracking and want renewable energy now. So thanks so much, everybody.
And there's one person I want to acknowledge who's been in the trenches, who's been an incredible videographer. You probably have seen some of her videos. She's amazingly persistent. Vera Scroggins.
Lazy. So thank you. Let's take some time. All right, so we're going to do it. We have 2 microphones right up here, so folks can just come up for a line and we'll take questions. The reason for the index cards is so you can gather your thoughts before it, so you have an concise question to ask. So we have 2 mics if you want to form a couple of lines. Now the other thing is we're passing donation jars. If you haven't already, we're about to do so. Please throw down a couple of bucks so we can really just help us cover expenses. We have 2 open microphones here. Anyone wants to ask questions?
One last announcement before we get to questions.
Hey everybody, I'm Betta, and I'm recently new to Binghamton.
Well, currently what the EPA testing showed, and this is in the Scranton Times-Tribune, is something like 20 out of the 60 that they've tested.
How many do you think in the whole town of Denver are contaminated?
Well, what we do know is what the EPA showed, is that about 20 out of those 60 wells that they tested were contaminated.
I know Ray carries out water for the last 5 years. That's out of my faucet tonight.
Good for you.
That's clean water.
You're blessed with good water.
You're very lucky to have water you can drink.
Well,
maybe not all of it does.
In fact, I guarantee you, 95% of the people in Dimmock don't have a problem
well,
with
maybe we can just put the jug up from Ray. You guys can trade.
They haven't tested all the wells. They haven't tested every well in Dimmock. Until you test every well in Dimmock, you can't say what Dimmock has.
That's right, they don't test them.
You haven't tested every well. They tested 60 wells.
Sir, thank you.
Most of the people in Dimmock, their water does not look like that.
Okay, sir, thank you for your question. Sir,
You
may I
just-
respond? May I respond?
Yeah.
Okay, so we heard from Tony and Graphia and from the gas industry itself that the initial rate of failure and contamination is 1 out of 20. So that about 6% of these cement patients would fail immediately, but that rate would increase over time. So I'm just going to give you a metaphor. If, for example, I was invested, or you were invested, in the company that built the highway, and the highway company said it was totally safe to stand out in the middle of the road. And we took our whole community and stood out in the middle of the road. And after a little while, let's say 1 out of 20 people got hit by a car and knocked off the road. Now, if I was invested in a company that told me that it was safe, I might feel upset. I might actually feel so upset that I was making money off of that I would pay for their funeral. And I probably wouldn't tell the whole rest of my community to come out and hang out on the highway. Now, over time, more and more people would get hit. Now, I could decide that I don't care about that. I could decide that since I'm one of the lucky ones, you know, that it's no big deal. Or I could just refuse to acknowledge that these people exist at all. That they're just simply not in harm's way and not injured or harmed. But I submit to you now, they're right here. They exist. Being totally unwilling to accept that some of us are suffering, others of us are benefiting, and there's a financial exchange going on here. I think we have to examine our level of compassion, and I think we have to examine what we're doing as a community. Because it's not about is everybody harmed or who's making money, who's not. When we're being harmed and our water's being contaminated and something happens to some people and others it doesn't happen to other people, and that rate's going to increase over time, I think it calls upon us to examine the science, examine the proof, examine the facts, but also examine our hearts and understand that we are not divided in those ways, we're one community. So I'd like to encourage that. Just that thought in your mind, and that's all. Let's take the next question.
Thank you for the question. So we're going to go over to this mic and then we'll come back. So thank you for the question.
Water doesn't work like that.
Not everybody, no.
So we're going to go here now.
You take some time. Sir, not everybody's water is going to be brown. It doesn't happen to every single house. But why should any family have to suffer so that another family can make a buck? That's wrong. I'm sorry, that is wrong. Nobody should have to suffer for someone else to profit. Nobody. That's wrong. And anybody's book. I'm sorry.
All right.
The other thing for you too, Jim, Halliburton's been there on the second cross of my house 3 times. Major casing failure.
All right. So we're going to take a question over here.
We'll get back to this, I'm sure, at a later date.
So we've got a question over here. Let's take this question.
Thank you.
Josh, thank you for showing how and explaining why the EPA failed people in their places. People that lost their drinking water and other things that happened to their environment. Where do you see the fight going with the EPA right now?
Oh wow, this is a great question. Where do I see the fight going with the EPA right now? Well, my first thought is, and I found this out in multiple instances, the science doesn't lie. Generally speaking, there's a lot of scientists out there doing this science. However, the press release that goes on top of the science often does. And if we have reporters in the room, I would really like you to make sure that when EPA puts out a statement that says everything's fine, look at the science. Don't just accept it without looking at the science. This is what just happened to the Manning family. PADEP came out and said that their water well, which looks like a geyser exploding with gas, is naturally occurring. This is current PADEP. And we know that PADEP is taking money from the gas industry. We know that the corporate administration is taking money from the gas industry. We know that at every level of the DEP, they're taking money from the gas industry. Now, when I asked, and the Manning family asked, can we please see the science? Can we please see the reports? They said no. The reporters can't see them. They said that the family couldn't see them. That's very suspicious to me, isn't it? To you? It's just science. It's just water tests. It's gas fingerprinting. Whatever it is. Why can't we see it and examine it for ourselves? When there's no transparency, you know you gotta worry about things. And I'll have you guys talk about that in just one second. But EPA, there are a lot of people at EPA who are brilliant at what they do. If you're an EPA person in the room tonight, I salute you. I was just in Colorado with some mid-level EPA people, Region 8, who were angry and upset about the film. Not because we were attacking EPA, but because they were so frustrated by policy influencing science. Science is science. Science is science. Science doesn't matter who's in the White House. Science doesn't matter who's in the Congress. Science just is science. So we have to follow science, and we have to try to make sure that our EPA is not subject to political pressure. You don't get into an election year and all of a sudden gravity starts going upwards. It doesn't happen. So we have a great agency with a lot of talent. And what we have to make sure is that they don't become a political agency, that they're a science agency. And that if you're from the EPA in the House tonight, I urge you to do what Weston Wilson did in the first, maybe in the first Gasland. And when things are wrong, blow the whistle. When this is wrong, come out and say it. Because I went to EPA. Lisa Jackson promises me in the film, if you see a problem, we're going to help you with it. Remember that? Well, the Dimmick stuff happened after. I went to EPA in Washington, D.C. They told me I couldn't take it. So we said, okay, let's have a meeting. I submitted these water tests that showed flammable water, that showed polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons, all the things that we report on the film. And I put them in front of Bob Sussman, who was at that point number 3 or number 2 at EPA. I put him right there. And he looks at me and he goes, we never said Dimmick's water was safe. This is the press release. This is the word safe right there. And the discussion continued from there. If we want this to change, it's about following the science, but it's about putting political pressure on the boss of EPA, who is the president, and making sure that he knows we can read a water test, and he knows that we can follow the science. And I'd just like to turn the rest of this over, because it's going to be about that. We have to fight for the science. We have to fight for the data. We have to fight for the proof.
The president is a sellout.
Go ahead. You want to talk about what happened at DEP? Well, we got our test results back, and the DEP says that everything is all natural, and that Salt Springs migrated into our well, but it's awful funny that there was a well drilled maybe roughly 1,000 feet from Salt Springs, which had a known shallow methane pocket. They knew it was there. Why are they allowing them to drill in a place like that, where there's a potential for that methane to migrate? Why would they take that chance? The DEP told us, oh, we didn't know it would cause any problems. Why would you take that chance? Right now, they're getting ready to drill a well underneath Montrose Lake. That's a public water supply. Why would they let them take that chance? Why? That's where we get our water from now. That's where Dimmick gets their water from. Why would they even take that chance? You got a public water supply that's supplying how many people, and they're going to drill a well right next to it. This is the kind of things that are going on. And the DEP and the government's letting it happen. When our water changed, we're not the only family whose water changed, and it all happened in a matter of days. When our water changed, we went to a town meeting, and all we did is say, hey, something's up with our water. We've got lots of gas in it, and our water turned black. The very next day, we had tons of people writing all kinds of bad things on the computer about us, calling us lunatics, and we shouldn't be harassing the town officials and everything else. All we did is went in and said, our water changed. And And all of our neighbors, people that never met me a day in my life, were running me down, calling me every name in the book, only because I said something isn't right. Why is it? I mean, to me, that makes no sense whatsoever. And then to have the DEP come and give this kind of decision and not want to show any kind of science. I told them, lay it on the table. We want to see it. Let my side see it. Let our lawyers see it. Let our scientists see it. But no, everything's a big secret. Why is it a big secret? Because there's pressure from up top somewhere. Where? I don't know. But and also, just another point I'd like to bring out is the well who's possibly caused the contamination of our wells was Shelley Pugh's well. And she did Truthland. She did the movie Truthland, which was funded by the gas company, all right? She's got a well pad on her farm that had 10 wells. 4 of the 10 were cited for many casing failures. 4 of the 10, that's 60% that were good, 40% were bad. That's a failing grade. If you go to high school, 60% is a failing grade. Am I right?
Okay, let's hear from a few more people, and thank you so much. Sister?
Thank you. Hi, Josh. I just wanted to say that the movie was entertaining. What I'd like to point out is I noticed that your house in Millenville did not have a solar array up on its roof, or did I see a solar array anywhere on your property? It's a two-part question I have. I'd like to see a show of hands of everyone in this room that has a solar array on the roof of their house.
How many people have a solar array on their house? A couple. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, sister, what's the second part of your question? Is there a question?
So that was about 8 people that have a solar array
Yes.
in this whole room.
Okay.
The second question is, you are set against gas, you are set against fossil fuels, my question really is, what are you going to have as a substitute? If you think that wind, solar, or hydro is going to replace our fossil fuels, it's not going to happen.
Okay, hold on.
It's not going to happen.
Okay. No.
My solar array, my solar array is putting out 4,500 and 5,000 watts on a day like today.
Thank you.
One cloud in front of it,
Sure.
it's about 500 watts.
Yes, thank you for your question. We're going to respond.
I cannot drive a large city with solar power.
Oh, okay. So, actually, when you look at the plan that is out in front of Mark Jacobson that he's put out there, we can run the entire world on renewable energy. In fact, we have more wind power in North Dakota, Kansas, and Texas than we need to run everything that we have in America right now, including our fleet of cars.
There's 8 people in this room.
And that's a great point. That's a great point. That's a great point. Let me tell you why it's a great point. Let me tell you why it's a great point. Let me tell you why it's a great point.
What is your solar array?
Okay, hold on. We're making it simple here. It's a great point. We have a lot of work to do. Right now, only about 10% of people can participate in the rooftop solar tax credit. Because only about 10% of people have a roof and have the right tax credit rating. So there's going to be a handful of people who can participate in it right now. However, there are other ways to go solar, and right now, they're not legal in New York because we don't have the correct laws on the books. And this is why it's so important that you go to that route. There's something called, that's rooftop solar. If you're in that position and you have a roof and you have a tax credit, you can get it really easily through a company called Sungevity or a company called Solar City. I'm not attached to any of those companies. All you do is call them up and get a quote. You might have the right roof, and you might have a roof, you might have the tax credit, and you might have a tree near your house, which is a good idea, because it keeps your house cool. But what you can do instead is get a community solar farm. Now, upstate New York has a lot of farms, has a lot of highways. what we would like to do is pass a law about something called virtual net metering. What that means is, if someone else has a solar farm, let's say they leased for solar, they would get a steady rate of income. It's not a bad income either, for leasing their farm for solar. And you, the people who don't have rooftop solar and don't have room to rent, and don't have good credit, or perhaps what they call good credit, right? You could buy your electricity from a farmer in upstate New York. That farmer in upstate New York could sell the electricity to New York City. In fact, you can certainly power an entire city with solar and with wind. In fact, if you were going to do offshore wind, one of the added benefits of offshore wind off the coast of Long Island, say, or New Jersey, is that wind turbines actually break apart and slow down hurricane winds. So it serves as an assurance against something like Sandy, which we know we had $60 billion worth of damage from. So there's no question in my mind and in the mind of the science that we absolutely have to get off the fossil fuel. We have serious problems.
Consider putting a solar array on the roof.
Well, it's not just about the roof. There are ways that we can help. Okay, let me just, as the last little bit. No, let's not yell. It's not necessary. Myself and Mark Ruffalo, the green superhero, the Incredible Hulk, and a banker from California named Marco Propellus and Mark Jacobson. Some other folks have founded something called the Solutions Project. The Solutions Project is to help many more than just these handful of people get off of fossil fuels, and we're going to be starting to roll that out over the next 3 to 6 months. So when we come here, we're going to do something other than a movie. We're going to show maybe a 20-minute movie, and then we're going to spend the rest of the day figuring out what's best. Can we do community solar on an individual level, on a group level, and on a legislative level? We need to start getting this moving on, because it's true, you're absolutely right. 8 people in the House, the numbers need to grow. And the more those numbers grow, the less we're going to have this particular problem. Because all of the ban fracking people in the House with the ban fracking stickers, we can't ban fracking without replacing the energy. And you're absolutely right. We need to replace the energy. So, Ray really wants to say something about EPA.
This is right on topic.
Sure.
So right now, the primary card has clipboards. You can sign up for a free home energy assessment, make energy improvements on your home. There are really good tax breaks available, so put your name on that clipboard. The other thing I wanted to mention, we're fortunate enough, do you mind if I call you out? She says yes. We're fortunate enough to have Gabe Knopf in the room, who's an entrepreneur. Stand up, Gabe, give a hand. She fantastic work. So there are phenomenal local efforts that are pushing towards this. So
and can people talk to you after about solar? Okay, great. So you're going to stand right down here at the end of this Q&A, and people are going to mob you. Okay? All right.
Ready, Josh?
Sorry,
Ray. All right. Ray wanted to add to the answer about EPA.
Back to EPA, you all saw a movie when they went national, said there was nothing wrong with the water in Pennsylvania. Well, the day after they did that, and went national, they wrote a report, the 23rd, sent it to me, said, do not use your water, or bathe in it, or drink it. It's contaminated. That's our federal government. They will lie to you, tell you anything you want to hear, do just the opposite. And as it goes forward right now, I am still waiting for the actual lab result from EPA, which I've never gotten yet from them. I have a spreadsheet with their interpretation of what's there. I do not have the actual lab results, same as Matt and Tammy. They will not give it to you for our people to look at it and to see what's really going on. And this is why we have specialists coming in now and retesting our water and finding out what's going on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Josh, for meeting you and for spreading the word. My name is Joanne Skinner. I live in Montrose, Pennsylvania, and I also serve on borough council there. To address Matt's question, why these things happen. It's the money. Okay, at a council meeting 2 months ago, all of council was to be informed that the DEP sent a letter of 5 permits contiguous to the borough. What you referenced earlier with the factory line coming right up to Penn American Water, formerly Lake Montrose. That permit was withheld from Borough Council. The secretary put 2 in the packet and left the other 3 out. Now,
right. You're saying that the local authority, which is pro drilling, stopped the permit from the one near the municipal water supply?
No, what I'm saying is the borough secretary withheld all the records that DEP supplied. There were 5 permits. A permit act is pretty lengthy, as you know, but it's not her discretion to withhold that information to all of Borough Council. And I said, well, where are the other 3? And she said, well, I just didn't want to copy them. No other members of council questioned that problems at local government level. All of the decisions that affect what's in your backyard start at local government. And our problem is we've got to get the young folks involved. We've got to get the young folks going to local meetings, to school board meetings, to township meetings. And because of Josh and his efforts, I think we're off to a good start.
Yeah, thank you so much.
The person who was at every single possible hearing or meeting or something or other in New York, Pennsylvania, or elsewhere, Mr. Craig Stevens. Thank you.
Hey folks, ready to your hands if you drink water or breathe air. Come on, I see a few hands up there, you're not turning blue. Got it. So like the guy asked earlier about solar, well, we all drink water, we all breathe air. Well, guess what happens when your neighbor's water goes bad like that? Like the guys earlier standing at the microphone, you know what they did? Took the money and turned their back on their neighbors. That's what they did. Them and proud. Yeah, what are they proud of? Turning their backs on their neighbors. Franklin's Citizens for Truth started after their water went bad. You know what they were proud of? Making money, not standing for their neighbors. I'm Silver Lake proud. Yeah.
Tell them that the people that started it are all the ones who well.
Yeah, everyone wells with the people that start those groups. Well, I'm Silver Lake Township proud, just like you're a Scroggins, who's my neighbor. You know what that means? We went to Demick to help out. I got my checkbook out and spent $6 grand to buy a water truck, put a buffalo on it, put a hydrant in, by the way, which was ordered to be torn out by the judge now. We had to find a new home for that. Ray's been driving the truck. When Matt and Tammy found out about them 4 months after their water went bad, here and I did, we went and knocked on the door and asked if they needed some help. We got some help. We got 5 news crews in the front yard the next day. And you know what miraculously happened right after that? They got water buffaloes installed and they got water delivery started. You know why? Because we didn't turn our backs on our neighbors. We helped out. That's what we did. I'm nothing special, folks. Nothing special. Josh will tell you he's nothing special. He just stumbled across something did not compute. It did not compute. Water going bad, people making money, and the people making money turn the victims into villains. I'm not going to watch that happen in the state of New York, where my mom was born in Oswego. I'm a 5th generation New Yorker. It's not happening here. Come on the 17th. We can use your help. We're trying to bring you a water truck. The tires are bad, the brakes are bad. When you're leaving, if you want to drop a few bucks in, we want to get it ready to go. And get it to Albany, and then we're going to Harrisburg. And then here's up for rallies. The very next day on the 18th is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. If you don't know where this fight is, ask Josh. It's Albany, New York, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. Those are the 3 areas that will change the dynamic on this and we hope you'll join us. Thank you.
Please consider Greg Hudson, who really is a phenomenal person. Okay, you have a question?
Yeah, so Craig Stevens is the guy who just delivers water. It's amazing. Thank you. Okay. And Ray Campbell also. You guys are amazing.
Hi. I'm very happy. I live in New York State, and I'm very confident that we are going to get a ban in New York State. However, I was very shocked. Was there, Brett Jennings is in the room. He's right over there. I was in a town meeting. It was a little informational session. I was recording Craig Stevens, and Brett Jennings, he's a real quiet guy, but he's a counselor at Great Bend Borough. He's also on the sewer board. He came up to me in a real quiet voice, and I was busy. You're a shooter too. I was busy. I was like focusing on everything. He said something to me, and I was like, wait a minute. I just couldn't let it even enter my consciousness. And I'm like, let's talk about this after the event's over. After the event was over, we sat down, and I got a little interview with him. And he told me something, because I've been following this whole fracking issue pretty closely for 2.5 years. He told me something that shocked me, and that was, and there's a map out there I can show you later, but what I found out was Brett told me something that started me on an investigative journey. I found out that upstream of the city of Binghamton, where I get my water from, and same with Endicott and Festal and Johnson City and Endwell, we get our water. Upstream from us are 98 wells in Pennsylvania. And it just so happens that the Susquehanna River starts out up in Otsego County, and it comes down, it dips down into Pennsylvania at Great Bend, and then it comes back north. So what I do have a question. My question is, Josh, what can we do to get sovereign control over what happens in our water supply? In New York City, there's a 2,000-foot setback.
Yeah. The Susquehanna River Basin Commission should be monitoring this river. But to be honest, look, I started this off as a 5-minute YouTube video, to inform my neighbors. I figured out that it was a lot further along than that. This isn't about winning in any one place. New Yorkers, you're going to win. You need to understand. You got hit by Sandy. You got hit by Irene. Right? There's no such thing as your backyard. And we proved it. The river doesn't know which state it's in when it's flowing through. The Susquehanna River Basin Commission has to hear from you. We took our fight at the Delaware River Basin Commission to the Delaware River Basin Commission. And we actually were able to win. Why? Because we had lots and lots of people there who had the added advantage of people getting water all the way down to New York City, and they can chime in as well. But the Susquehanna River Basin is your water. Right? Okay. Well, I think that this is more of a strategic question that I don't know how to answer. But what I do know is that when you're being told no, when the law isn't serving the higher law, when the laws that they decided are the right laws are actually wrong, you have the obligation to break those laws and make them in line with the higher morality. And I would suggest that when people back against the law, this movement is doing some trending in that direction. But you have to commit those acts of non-civil disobedience to make your point. And to understand that this isn't about one state or another state. This is a national and international question. And we need you desperately to win in New York. But then we need you desperately not to go away. We need you to make sure that when you win in New York, you cross that border into Pennsylvania, and you make sure that you are not turning your back on your New York either. Because down in PA, you've seen the film, it is horrifying and difficult, and upsetting, and angry. And even just on principle, not just because it's your water supply. We have to make sure that we link arms in this fight and spread it around. So please, New Yorkers, this time, get to Albany on the 17th. And if you can, if you're not free on the 17th, turn around and drive down to Harrisburg we could use you. I'll be in Harrisburg on the 18th. I won't be in Walden this time, sorry. I'm another stream, but I'll definitely be in Harrisburg, so I hope somebody will come down and help in that fight. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to take a break, and then one more, and then we're
we just have the last two questions asked at the same time, and then we all respond.
Okay.
So one question, and then is there a question on this side? Is it? Okay. One question, and then another question. We'll all take a crack at anything else.
Okay, well, my question has to do with my understanding. I applaud you for mentioning that in the movie. And honestly, seeing all that really scary. And I just wonder, my question for you is, do you think that this conversation is going to start getting into more of the climate change aspect? I see that as a really major problem. And, you know, the rushing burns, rushing hospitals, this looks like it's a very severe disaster going on from that.
Thank you. Question about climate change.
Yes, this is a question, but I've seen Crack Nation and Truthland. And the way you are portrayed is you're some kind of hyper that's convincing millions of people you have to do that. And also, you're the only one making films that are critical, yes, to the industry. So,
there's a great film called Slip State.
yeah, I'm just, my question is, why are they focusing so much attention on you as far as, the attack?
I don't know, the bullets are always putting on guy's glasses. Right. But I think that's a good deal, really. I think it's easier to make the team and me than face Ray Campbell. I think there's a great deal of character assassination. I haven't seen either of those films. I can't do it. I don't want to hear about it. But the truth is that I think that what they like to do is pretend this is about a movie. It's not about a movie. You know what I mean?